Hello, everybody. Welcome to my October free Facebook Live virtual card class for qualifying purchase in the month of September. So glad that you are here with me today. It is Monday, October 13th, 2025, and I'm happy to be here with you. My name is Maureen Rolfes, also known as the Crazy Stamping Lady. I have been an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for over 28 years, and I love what I do. If you're hopping on, please say hi. Let me know that you're here, that you're watching. If you watch me on the replay, let me know that also. Hi, Penny. Glad you are here. I am coming to you from a beautiful and sunny Murfreesboro, Tennessee in the United States. Hi, Shar. This class is a special thank you to my customers for ordering, but everyone is welcome to join us excuse me, today for this class and see the cute little projects that we put together. If you ordered from me in the month of September and your order was over $50 pre-shipping and handling and tax, and after any discount you might have received, then you should have received a kit in the mail. If not, if you didn't receive it and you think you should have, let me know and we will make that right for you. The video will remain here in the video media section of my Facebook page for 30 days for you to come back and watch anytime you want. Per Facebook rules, it will be deleted after that. Excuse me, I might need to get a mint or some coffee. But in the meantime, I will try to upload it to YouTube where it'll remain for you even longer. If you can feel free to share my video, I really appreciate if you do that. You can share me to another page, to a stamping friend. You can email me to someone. It just helps me get more exposure for my small business. And I really appreciate when you do that for me. Okay, guys, let's get busy here and get down to some crafting. There is my sunny outside. Okay, hopefully you are seeing on screen what you were supposed to. I'm going to reload my screen, make sure I'm where I should be, and take a second to get a sip of coffee here. So hang with me for a minute. All right. Okay, this is me, Maureen Rolfes, the Crazy Stamping Lady. You can find my blog at crazystampinglady.blogspot.com, my email at crazystampinglady@gmail.com. my Facebook at facebook.com/Crazy Stamping Lady, my YouTube under my name Maureen Rolfes, or I think you can search Crazy Stamping Lady, and you can shop with me at stampingwithmaureen.stampinup.net. Every order you place online through Stampin' Up! Through me that is $20 or more will automatically receive a 10% discount in rewards that you can use on a future purchase. Those rewards can be used immediately that same day once they load, which usually takes about a half hour, or they can be kept for up to a year, and during that time you could save up for something spectacular that you would like to gift to yourself. You can get your account at stampingwithmaureen.stampinup.net, and be sure when you go there that you opt in for the rewards. There will be a pop-up that comes up. You have to opt in. If you don't, we can't give you the rewards, unfortunately. Also, be sure that you opt into receiving information from me. I will put you on my email list. I do not send out a ton of emails, but by opting in, it allows me to send you things like our catalogs when they come out the next round, etc. So, yes, all to that. That is all I'm going to go through with that today. I did want to just point out that this is the free monthly class. So each month, if you place a qualifying order with me, you can receive the kits for this class. For the month of October, to earn the free online kit that for the class that'll be in November, just place a $50 order to get 3 card kits, $75 to get 3 card kits and a bonus project, and $100 to get 3 card kits, a bonus project, and a half a pack of an embellishment. All smaller orders that don't qualify for a kit will receive a handmade card from me as a thank you, and every single order I get throughout the month is put into my monthly prize drawing because I appreciate you all so very much. The November class for October purchases will be on Monday, November 10th at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it'll be right here in this Facebook group for anyone to watch that would like to. But if you qualify with an order and get the kit, you can craft along with me. Okay, I try to get through this pretty quickly. The projects are pretty simple. So here we go. We're going to start stamping. Here is our first project. Right here, it is this kind of masculine happy birthday card. I did stamp my envelope with my same sentiment. As always with my classes, I cannot do the stamping for you. So there's very little stamping on anything I do. You will receive all the pieces, but for where I have the happy birthday, you would need to stamp whatever sentiment you might have available that will fit. Or you could cut a different size of paper and cut and stamp your sentiment. So in your kit, you will have received a basic white envelope. You'll have received 9 strips of DSP. This DSP is from the Retired Take to the Sky DSP. So you're going to get 9 of those, different colors assorted. And as you put them together, you can choose which sides you want to use on your card. That is totally up to you. These pieces are 1/2 inch by 2 3/4, and I will post the recipes for all of these cards in the comment section after this video is over. So you're going to have 9 of those. You're going to have a basic white base that's going to go horizontal for this card. This base is a regular A2 base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. You have a piece of basic black that is 3 3/4 by 5 inch. A piece of basic white that is 3.5 by 4 3/4. So it's going to come together kind of like that. A little strip for your sentiment that is 1/2 by 2 3/4. I think, is that right? Let me look for that. No, it's 1/2 by 3.5. Sorry. A tiny little blue bow that I tied for you with some of our retired twine. Now when I do these free kits, they do contain a lot of retired product, but it still makes a beautiful card for you. And you can duplicate these with whatever you might have on hand. And then I do have 3 of the floral motifs. Now floral sounds like they would be really feminine looking, but they're not. They're kind of brass and dark. They have a little design on them that doesn't actually look like a flower so much to me. It could be if you want it to be. But I like them for masculine cards. I like the metal look, so we're going to be using those. So for this card, let's put together what we can right off the bat. Oh, I forgot my seal in the other room. We might be using a little bit of Tombow on this one, I guess. I don't usually use Tombow. I almost always use seal, but I had a card class and my pack of adhesives from the class is still sitting out in the other room. So we're just going to take, instead of seal, some Tombow and place that onto the back of the black, and then place that onto the center of our card. I mean, some of you prefer to use Tombow. I just don't usually. I usually use seal, but they both certainly work. I'm going to take my white rectangle and do the same thing. Put a little seal around the edge. You don't need a lot, guys. It holds on well. And the less you put, as long as you can see it on there, the better, because then you won't have all that oozing out of excess glue. Okay, there's the white piece. So then what I did is I took my stack of these pieces and I laid them out how I might like them look. Now, you don't have to take a lot of time for this, guys, because it's not going to matter so much. But I had kind of put these in an order, and I think I'm going to go with this order. I might regret it. I might like it. We'll see, right? Just like that. So that's my 9 pieces, just like that. And I am going to take every other piece and add it right here to this piece of basic white. So let's just take our first one. And some of them you can use the other side, so look at them. If you'd rather use the other sides, whatever you want to use on your card is fine with me. I'm going to pick this little piece up, and I am going to center this top to bottom on this white piece and leave about a 1/2 inch before I place it. So let's just come in here and place that like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. If they're a little closer, they're just going to be overlapped more. If they're a little longer, I mean, wide, farther apart, then they'll just come closer to the edge. So don't freak out about it. I'm going to take my next one, which is the one from this end right here. Do the same thing. Add some Tombow glue to the back sparingly. Pick this up, and I'm going to place this down here. Again, centering it top to bottom and coming in about a 1/2 inch or so on the white from the side here, okay? So that kind of gives me my basic layer. So now every other one, I'm gonna come in here and place every other one. Come on, Rain, you can do this. Like this and like this, okay? And I'm going to stagger them a little bit on the front of the card, but I'm placing them here to see how wide apart I want them, because I want them pretty evenly spaced across my card. Again, don't worry about perfection. Don't make this stressful. Let it be fun. If it's not fun, then you're doing it wrong. Let me just tell you, it's gotta be fun, or it's just not worth it. That's my motto for most things in life right now at this stage. So we're gonna come in here and I'm gonna place this one centered approximately, but staggered up a little bit like that. And then I'm going to take my next one. And it just helps me to lay them on there. If you can eyeball them without doing that, then go ahead. Don't lay them on there first. Do whatever you like. But this is my process. I'm going to center this one between those two. Coming down toward the bottom. Take this next one. And if you are using Tombow, the good thing about it is it gives you a little wiggle room. So if it's not real straight, you can go back and straighten it. Again, I don't stress too much about straightness either. I do my best and then I let it go. How do I want this one? I'm going to put this one up a little bit too from there, maybe even up a little closer to the top than that other one. Okay, so there's my pieces staggered across my card. Then the next thing you're going to need is some dimensionals. So let me grab some dimensionals here. Again, my regular ones are out in the other room. Wow, I should have brought that whole thing of adhesives in, and I did not. So we're okay though. We can do this. So I am going to take these other 4 pieces and place them in these 4 spaces, but I am going to pop them up on dimensionals. And I'm going to use mini dimensionals simply because that's what I have here. So, but these are wide enough that you certainly could use regular size dimensionals on them. You do not have to use minis like me. Hopefully you're more prepared than I am. So we're going to come in here and then I'm going to stagger these again. So I'm going to come down a little bit on here. I don't want all of my bottoms to be even or all of my tops. So I'm just going to kind of fill in that spot right there with that one popped up. Do the next one. And this just not only gives you the visual up and down, which is kind of cool on here, but it gives you the dimensional up and down by using the dimensions on every other one. So visually it's very appealing to the eye, has some character and some fun to it. I'm going to come up a little bit on this one and center it over those 2. Again, so my bottoms and tops are not perfectly even. Let's do this one here. So again, if you're crafting along with me, that's great. Or if you just want to watch me and then get a feel for what I'm doing and then either do it on your own or come back and watch again and put them together, whatever works for you. If you don't have the kits, like I said, I will post the recipes later in the comments of this video. And at that point, you can go ahead and make your own kits with whatever you have on hand because you'll have all of the measurements. Okay, and then this final one right here. Now, the other side of some of these papers does have the little biplanes on, which is kind of cute. So if yours looks good and you want to show that part, go ahead. I just felt that mine were cut off a little bit too much to get the feel for what they were. So I decided to use the more neutral patterned side on my cards. And we're going to come down, I think, with this one again, right there. Okay. So when you're all done, this is the look you have, that up and down look of the different pieces on there. I think it is very cool looking personally, so that is what I went with. I'm going to stamp my happy birthday. So this happy birthday here comes from the Not 29 Anymore stamp set, which is a great birthday stamp set. Fun, lots of fun little sentiments in there. But this is a nice, bold, happy birthday, and I felt like this is a masculine card, so I wanted a nice, bold, happy birthday on there. If you have Night of Navy, that would go great if you wanted to use one of the other colors, but I'm just going to use Memento Tuxedo Black on here, because that's a very neutral, and it'll go with any colors that are on my cards. So if I'm making a bunch of them, I didn't have to worry about switching that out. And I'm going to center that onto my strip. Once again, you will have to pick your own sentiment to put on your strip, because I can't do the stamping for you. There is a copyright issue with Stampin' Up! That we can't have stamped images in your kits. And then this is just going to lay across those pieces. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of Tombow glue where I want this to lie, if that makes sense. I'm going to come in here and to the side of this piece, put a little bit, and then across here, and across here, and across here. And the end of it's going to hang over, but it's not going to hurt anything at all. It'll just be on the card like that, trying to get it straight the way I want it. Looks like I smudged that with my finger. Let's see if I can unsmudge it with my eraser. Oh, I can. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so there's our happy birthday. It's popped up on those popped up pieces. It is perfect where it is. Let's use a tiny little dab of Tombow glue over in this corner, right onto the happy birthday. And then I'm going to take my bow that I pre-tied for you, and we're going to just stick those right on there. If it's too long and hangs off too much, go ahead and trim it down. Or you can just tuck that in when you mail your card. Either way, whatever works for you. And then we have our 3 dimensionals, and we're just going to place those on to our card front to add some character wherever you would like to place yours. I'm just kind of staggering mine. High, low, and then kind of a medium one over here. All right, and that is card number 1. And like I said, I did stamp my happy birthday on the envelope. I do not like naked envelopes, but they're, look at them. I think they're adorable. What a great masculine, simple, easy, easy card. Okay, let's set this to the side, and we will go to card number 2. So card number 2 is a very simple little note card that says just a note. And to make this, what I did is I took some of the cards from our Remember This Moment Memories and More card pack. So when you get Memories and More card packs, they're filled, if I can get these out, they're stuck in there, filled with just little cards that you can use on your cards that you make. And they work perfect. Like this could have gone on just like that. But what I did is I found a design I really liked in the big ones right here. And it happened to be a design that repeated itself on each end, which was kind of cool. So I just cut them in half so that I had enough for all of my cards. But I love Memories and More cards for all my card making. They are so fun and quick, so keep them in mind when you are doing your card making. Okay, so for here, we use the Memory and More cards. I am going to grab my Flirty Flamingo stamp pad, my little sentiment that says just a note, and for that, that was taken from the beautiful Motif stamp set, which is also another amazing stamp set that we offer with some great simple sentiments, which I really love. I love hello cards, just a note, thinking of you. So I have used this one a ton. You can see on my envelope, I just stamped the just a note like that. Again, you're going to be using your own sentiment, so make it whatever you want it to be on your card. inside of the card, if I can get the pieces out, there we go. You have a little basic white note card. Now this is our note card size. They come with envelopes and the cards already pre-scored for you to use. They are totally mailable with one postage stamp, so they're not an odd size. They work perfect. And I love them because they're a little bit smaller. So when you want to write to someone, you don't have to write quite as much if you're not feeling it. And it's just a quick little note to let them know you're thinking of them. So we're using that regular basic note card right here. I have a piece of old olive cardstock that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And then out of this old olive cardstock, a coordinating one, I punched a scallop. And out of white, I punched a white oval. And to punch these out, I used our retired double oval punch. I'm sure you can find it on eBay or something. It was one of my favorites always, and I still like it and still use it pretty often. So that is what we use to cut those out. Then I have my piece, the half piece of that Memories and More card, and 3 little pearls. And these pearls were from our retired metallic pearls set that we had. They came with silver and with gold pearls, so we're using the gold ones. So that I can get those back into my retired stuff there. So that's what should be in your kit. This is a super simple card also to put together. We're going to use the Tombow glue on the back of the old olive. I am going to take this and lay this, centering it top to bottom, but all the way over to the left side on the crease. Okay, so what that's going to do is end up giving you a pretty even border around the other sides. Tombow is great for this one because you want to push it so it's right up to that crease if you can and the white's not showing. Just like that. Then we're going to take our other little piece here. Now you could stamp a sentiment directly on here if you wanted to, and I love that it has the little grid lines. The back of this one says, "Oh, happy day," with these beautiful pink and blue colors. So just as pretty. We're going to come in here and I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to push this all the way over to the side and center it top to bottom. And once again, you're going to have a pretty even border now of the old olive around there. Okay. Then we're going to stamp our sentiments. So I'm using Fleur de Flamingo because that is kind of a matching color on my flower here. We're going to stamp the Just a Note. Make sure it's inked up well right in the center of my oval. Like that. Not quite right in the center. Let's see if I can do better on the other side. It's not too bad. And if I can't, then I'll use that one. It's a little more difficult for me to stamp something super centered when my head can't get underneath the camera very well. But it works. There. Just a Note. That is perfectly fine with me. I'm going to come in here again with the Tombow on the back of there. Pop that into the center of my scallop circle, scallop oval. All right, hope you guys are having a super great day. The weather is beautiful here, fallish in the 70s and dry, which is wonderful. Now we're gonna pop this one up, and again, I'm gonna use my mini dimensionals because it's what I have. You can use regular ones, they will perfectly fit on here. Use what you got, guys. There's always another way to do something if you don't have what you need. If I'd have cleaned up from Saturday's class and brought everything in, it's all cleaned up and stacked up, just not all back in my room yet, I wouldn't be having this trouble. But my weekend was a little rough with my autoimmune. Life's been a little rough lately. So I move kind of slow, Yeah, my Just a Note isn't perfect, but it'll work. Okay, we're going to place this. So I'm placing it so a little of my card base shows here, so the pink line above me shows, so I'm covering up almost to my leaves, but my entire flower still shows here because I love that flower. I think it is so very pretty. And then we're going to take our little pearls, and we're going to place them onto our card. A triangle is always visually appealing on a card, so I'm going to place, since I'm doing 3 of them, in a triangle formation. 1, 2. If I can get the last one off of there, we'll do 3. There we go. Let's see, I want this down here. So Okay, so there is my triangle, and that is card number 2, all done. Super fast, cute little card. You could send this out to anyone to let them know they are on your mind. Okay, again, I will post the recipe for this one afterward in the comments with a picture of the card. Okay, card number 2 is done. Card number 3. Here is our card number 3. So in your kit, why is it stuck in my kit? There we go. You are going to have a basic white envelope. You are going to have 5 pieces of Designer Series paper. This Designer Series paper, it's To Market, the retired To Market Designer Series paper that I took these from. And you're going to do a little work on these, so hang on to them. But there's 5 1 1/4 by 3 1/2 inch strips. From that same Designer Series paper, you're going to have a fussy cut bouquet of flowers. Now they vary from kit to kit, so be aware of that. If you have the red one, I would be sure to use the side of the Designer Series paper that has red flowers in it. But if you don't have the red one, then you can kind of choose from either side what you would like. These two have red, but they're vegetables, so I wasn't going for the vegetable route on here. But there is a different floral, there is the polka dots. So choose what you like on your card. I'm going to use these 5 on mine, okay? And then you're going to have a base of pecan pie. And this base is a regular A2 base again, so it is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. You're going to have 2 pieces of basic white. One of them is 3 3/4 by 5, and one of them is 3 1/2 by 5, okay? So we're going to be using the smaller one on the inside of the card, so I'm going to set that aside for now and concentrate on using the larger one for the outside of my card. So before I put this all together, there is some work you're going to have to do on this. What you want to do is take each of these pieces of Designer Series paper and tear off about 1/4 inch. And you're just going to zigzag back and forth just a little bit. You just want a little bit of character on there. Tearing off about 1/4 inch. And when you do that, it's going to reveal a little bit of that white edge on there. That is what you want for your card, okay? So do that with all 5 of the pieces. Again, do not worry about them being perfect. What you want to do is place your thumb here, and then the part you're tearing off, you're pulling up towards you. And by pulling it up to you back and forth, that is how that little white tear line is getting on there. Hang on to these little pieces for a minute. You won't need them all, but just hang on to them for a minute so you have them, because we're going to be using one of them later. Okay, I'm going to tear this one. And I'm doing this with all of them because I wanted you to watch how I tear them, because some people don't love tearing. Again, if you worry about it being too perfect, you're not going to love it. So don't worry about it being too perfect. Just have fun with it. But you don't want to tear off much more than 1/4 inch, because you want these to overlap and cover a certain area of this white base. So don't tear off too much if you can avoid it. I think I made them big enough that you have a little leeway, but I tried, guys. So we're going to pull those off. Hope y'all had a great weekend. My weekend, like I said, I wasn't feeling super great, and then I didn't get to watch the Packer game because it wasn't shown here in Tennessee, which made me want to cry, but they did win, so that is good. Okay, so now I have my 5 pieces. These are going to lay on this front of the card right here in this order, like this. And I am going to overlap them a little bit as I go up. So I'm going to start with my very bottom one. Put my Tombow on the back of here. I'm going to lay this So I have a pretty even border on each side and the bottom. Again, do not worry about perfection. Just lay it as close as you can so it has that. Then I'm going to take my very next one, put them in any order you like, what you love to have on your card, because this is your card. I am going to make sure that this overlaps that one. Now, I hope you can see on here about how much I am left showing here, okay? It's going to vary a little bit, but what you're trying to do is keep your side pieces pretty straight, okay? So you're looking visually at these sides. And if you need to, you can lay them out on your card a little bit to see how they fall, okay? So you can see they're not overlapping a ton. They're just overlapping a little bit so that they cover this part of the card. Okay, so I'm going to take the next one. And again, if you have more white at the top or the bottom, nobody's going to care. No one is going to notice except probably you. So do not worry about it too much. Again, I am placing that on there, trying to make sure that my sideline part is pretty darn straight. This one actually had a little cut out of it. I'm glad I got that one. Hopefully none of yours are like that. And then the brown one right on top of that. Like that. And then the one that has my little bit of red in it up here to the top. So now before I put this all together on my card, and you can see even as I place mine, that I have more white up here at the top than I do down here at the bottom. I am not going to worry about that at all. This is going to go on my card just the way it is. It's going to be beautiful. So don't stress out about stuff that certainly doesn't matter. If I really felt uncomfortable with it, I could come back in with one of these smaller pieces and place it up at the top, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to love it just the way it is. Now I'm going to do a little more on this, but I'm going to set it aside to dry for just a minute. So while that is drying, I'm going to come in here with my fussy cut flowers and add my Tombow around the edges on them. And this is going to get placed onto my little arch. Okay, just like that. It fits just about top to bottom. You got a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so now that is done. I'm also going to add my bow. So this little bow was tied again with some retired baker's twine that we had, and your bow should be already tied for you. You can manipulate it if it got a little ooky in the mail. Coming to ya. And then I'm going to take a dab of Tombow glue and place it right in the middle of where those flowers look like they're tied together in that bouquet. And put that right on top of there. And then if you want that to set really good and you want to set it aside, you can take a block and set it on top of that. That'll give it some really nice pressure as it's drying. So I'm going to do that right over here. Okay, so let's take this piece right here. I am going to put Tombow all over the back of this, around the edges. You do not need a ton, guys. Don't overdo your Tombow. You're just wasting it. We're going to place that on the front of the card, like that. And then once it's down, I'm going to take my fingernail and kind of just rough up this little raw edge on these pieces. All that does is gives you a little more dimension, a little more of that torn edge. If you don't have fingernails, you can kind of do it with your snips too, the same way. Just kind of pull that along the edge, and that'll push up those edges and give you that. Or your bone folder would work too. I just like using my fingernails because I have fingernails, but I know not everyone does. Most of my life I bit my fingernails down to the quick, so it is nice now as an adult that I've grown up and I can actually have fingernails. I don't know what was the matter with me, but there were issues. Probably still are. Okay, I'm just going to pull that up. This one too. You don't have to do this part. It looks pretty just the way it is flat, but I like having some dimension on my cards. And this adds just the slightest bit of that without a lot of work. So do what you would like on your little torn edges. Let's see if I can get this one to come up. I don't want any of my nail polish. I have pink nail polish on to come off on my card, so I'm being very careful not to rub my nail across it. Okay, the very bottom. There we go. So there is the little card base that we made for this. I am going to come in here with our florals and grab my mini dimensionals again for no reason except that that's what I have available. We'll place these all over the back of this card, and I'm using a few more than I would if they were regular size because they are tinier. That's why they call them mini. Probably on a regular one I'd use 5, but I want this to stand up on the card. So we're going to pull off all those backings. I try to be so prepared, but some days I just forget stuff, and this was one of those days. I forgot adhesives. Okay, this is going to go onto our card front. I'm going to place it over here. I'm going to see if it looks better. Nope, I like it down to the bottom. I'm going to place it over here a little bit to the right-hand side, just like that. And then we're going to add our gems. Now there's 3 colors of gems you could have gotten. These are retired ones. Actually, maybe there was 4 colors I used. Can't remember. They were all from the same pack. So you could have gotten green ones or tan ones or brown ones or pink ones. Whatever I happen to put in your kit, whatever they are, they should match just fine. I'm going to grab my snips and place these onto my card front. So I'm going to place, you might have gotten too large, you might have gotten too small, but all together I know you got 3 of them. So place them where you think they would look great. Now this tan isn't going to show on the brown as much, so I'm going to move it up here and put this one onto my purpley layer here. On this one you can see I put it down on the brown one. I'm going to grab my tiny one, and on this card I placed it on the polka dot layer, but on this card here I'm going to come up on the white to kind of pull that excess white that I have up there into the card a little bit. And then I'm going to come in and get my last one and place that right down here in the corner. Now there's no sentiment on here, no stamping, so you didn't have to do that. For the inside of the card, I'm going to grab my smaller piece of white and one of these scraps, excuse me, maybe whichever one is widest or that I really love the pattern on, and I'm just going to put that across the bottom of my card like that. So it should be just the right width. Come in here and place a little bead of Tombow right down the edge of that, all the way to the edge, because you don't want the edges popping up like that. And I'm just going to put this right at the bottom of my piece of card for the inside, pulling it so that it's even. Okay, and then that way that pulls the inside of your card, the outside of your card right into the inside and makes it all coordinate and match. Let me grab my Tombow one more time here, add it to the back of that inside piece, and we're going to place this down centered on the inside of the card base. And then if you wanted to, you certainly could put a sentiment inside of here. That is totally up to you, or you could just use it as a note card. On the original one I did stamp the sentiment, "You've been on my mind," and then I repeated that. Where is my envelope? Did I lose my envelope? Oh, it's right behind there. Ha ha ha. I repeated it on my envelope, just like that. So for this one, I'm not going to add a sentiment yet. I'm going to wait and see what it might be when I send it out. Okay, guys, that is card number 3. The rest of these scraps you can keep and do something with, or you can throw them away. I am throwing mine. I don't need them. I don't need excess like that laying around, so it is gone, gone. Okay, our last project is if you purchase $75 worth of merchandise in a single order from me last month, then you get a bonus project. And our bonus project is going to be a cute little treat holder. So all of your pieces should be in a cello bag like this. And we're going to put together this treat holder. Now, on the measurements, it's going to give you all the measurements for this so that you can actually recreate it if you want to. This is a piece of basic gray that is 3 inches by 11 inches. I scored it on the long side. Actually, I'm going to turn it so it's the right way. I scored it on the long side at 1 1/4, at 2 inches, at 3 3/4, 4 1/2, 7 3/4, and 8 1/2 to form our little treat box. And then out of the section where I have these 2 first score lines, so there's the 1 1/4 score line and the 2-inch score line, overlapping those score lines. Let me see where my punch is, if I can find it. Oh, I don't have it handy, but I can show you with this one. So overlapping those score lines, I took my basic modern oval punch and I punched out, just making sure I was going in the center and over those 2 score lines. You could use a lot of different punches for this. It doesn't have to be the basic oval. That I must have used on my card class too, and it's probably sitting out in the other room. But I do like our basic oval. It's a nice big punch. Oh, here it is. I found it. It was just hiding. It was over on the floor. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always setting things on the floor next to me. So I came in here from the end, stamped, cut, punched that out, making sure that my 2 score lines went down the middle of it and that it was centered side to side. So I hope that makes sense, because what we want to do is make a little slot for candy to go in or a treat to go in, okay? So once you have that all, my bone folder, everything's out, all my tools, everything's out in the other room. I am going to use my backup bone folder. So normally for my creases, I use a bone folder, but this is my go-to if I forget my bone folder when I'm going somewhere, is I take a Sharpie pen, and I always have one of these in my purse, and I use this blank gray end. Now you don't want to, make sure that you don't want to run this along there, because it will take that ink of Sharpie off and put it on your paper. I'm going to use this rounded end, and we're going to do a makeshift bone folder. So I'm going to come in here and crease all of my creases on here, because you want them creased and nice and firmly. And look how well that works. See, you don't really need a bone folder. This, if you got a Sharpie handy, you got it. Honestly, I love the way it works, and I've used it so many times. Sometimes I'm just crafting out in the other room, and I don't have my bone folder out there, and then I'll grab the Sharpie out of my purse and do this. So it works great. Okay, so there's our makeshift bone folder. I just creased all those creases so that this kind of comes together like this. So they're all being creased up the same way. And then we're going to put this together to make this little pocket here into a pocket that a treat could go in. So let me show you how this looks when it's done, just so you kind of know what we're aiming at. This is the little box. It has the closure with the little candy corn. It opens up. You can put your little no treats sentiment in there if you want. And then it has a pocket here where you can put a treat into it. So I'm going to close this back up and set it here. What we want to do is on this back side, this end flap here that is going to fold in, I want to add my Tombow glue onto there, okay? So we're just going to come in, add Tombow glue. You want to add enough. You could use tear and tape for this. You could use seal. You want to add enough that it's going to hold, but not too much that it's going to ooze out, if that makes sense. And then we're going to try to keep the base straight and move that flap back and attach it. So the good thing with Tombow is it gives you that little bit of wiggle room that works. And then I'm going to just press it flat to make sure that that Tombow really takes good onto there. Okay, so there is our little pouch for our treat to go in. Now we're going to decorate this. So I punched that same modern oval punch out of basic white, and that is in your kit. And I'm going to use pumpkin pie and the sentiment from the Halloween Spooky Treats set that is current. And I'm just going to ink that up and put it right in the middle of this oval, or pretty darn close. No tricks. All Treats, which I just think is an adorable little sentiment. And this is going to go on the inside flap. I could go here, but your treat's going to cover it up then till they take it out. So I'm going to put mine up here on the inside flap. Put yours wherever you like it. It seems so weird for me, guys, not to be using Seal. You know Seal is my go-to adhesive. I keep reaching for it and realizing it's in the other room and I'm using Tombow. But Tombow works for most everything, and I know Tombow is the go-to for a lot of you. Okay, so there's the No Tricks All Treats. We're going to decorate the front of it. So I'm going to lay it this way. So the opposite flap of the No Tricks and All Treats is going to be the front of our box, okay? So I'm going to decorate that using a piece of Designer Series paper. This Designer Series paper is 2 1/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So it is horizontal. You're going to want to watch that as you're putting it onto the front of your box. Look how pretty it is on the back. This was actually the Retired Favored Flowers DSP. I can't remember. I think it might have been a celebration one because I know I got a lot of it, but I also got a lot of it because I love it so much. So it's hard to tell sometimes why I have a lot. And I'm just going to lay that centered onto that front panel like that. And then we're going to take the little ghost that hopefully I fussy cut out for you and you have in your packet. That's actually a little bat wearing a ghost costume and holding his Halloween treats. And I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of this guy, because I want him to pop up on the front of my treat holder. Now these would be cute, maybe not to hand out for Halloween, but if you have kids or nieces or nephews, or even to put a cute treat for your hubby in, that would be awesome. We're going to kind of center him on this panel, so he's peeking out just like that. And then I want this to have a way to kind of be closed and secure. So what I'm going to do is take my little candy corn that you have in your kit. So the candy corn here is from the Spooky Sweet Designer Series paper. And there's actually punch outs in here, which is what this is. I am going to place a mini dimensional right at the bottom and then one right at the top of it so that it is secure, but that's so the very tip of the candy corn is not glued down. And that's important for how we're using this. But I want 2 of them to make sure it's secure. But you can see at the top here, I don't have a dimensional. Pull the backing off on there. Now these were actually punch outs. There's 2 sheets of punch outs in this Designer Series paper, which I love, and I've used a ton of them already. If you're doing my paid class this month, you'll be using some more of them, so that's cool. Then I want to lay this here so that I know exactly how I want it to sit. I'm kind of just squaring the whole thing up so my angles are square. And I am going to place this candy corn just so the top of it, the part without the dimensional, comes up over that flap. And then that kind of is your closure. That's what holds your little box shut. Now, I didn't get a chance to get to the store and find a little treat that would fit in here perfectly, but I did have a pack of Tic Tacs. These are the Citrus Adventure Tic Tacs. This box was just a little bit too big. It would fit if I squished it in there, but it was still too tall for this to close shut. So what I did is I took them and put them in a little zip bag here. And look how cute those colors are for Halloween. I think they're great. I'm going to stick that right in there just to give you an idea of what you could put in. This should fit a lot of your little mini candy bars. That would work too, but be creative as you're filling it. And then that'll close and hold it. And then when you open it up, there's your little Tic Tac treat. I think it is so cute. So that is our bonus project this month, guys. And then if you placed a $100 qualifying order in that little cello bag with that last kit, you would have also received a half a pack of a retired embellishment. And those are yours just to put in your stash and use on whatever you like. So let's come back in and place all of our projects so you can see what we did today. Here is card number 1, our happy birthday card. Card number 2, our just a note card. Card number 3, which was our floral bouquet. And then our little treat holder. Yay! All 4 projects. Thank you for taking time with me today. If you enjoyed today's class, just be sure to place a qualifying order from me in the month of October so you can get the kit for November. A reminder that I will post all of these projects and the recipe sheet that goes with them in the comments of this video, so you can come back and check for those later today. They will be there. I will be on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock right here in this same place with my regular Tuesday morning coffee and a card. So I hope you can join me then also. As always, I would love to be your creative coach and demonstrator. If you have any questions, please reach out to me in the comments of this video or by email at crazystampinglady@gmail.com. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.